Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Intermission. We're actually a little bit late with this one, partially because of holidays, partially because of needing to meet deadlines, partially because of life getting in the way. So again, I do apologize for the delay. But in order to make up for it, this is the second time in a row we have a professional with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one, the only Cage. Welcome aboard with us.
I never asked for this. I never asked for it.
It's true, he didn't ask. I kind of drug him along.
But I'm
Put
here.
him in a cage.
And
I will rattle now.
yes. Also with him, another talented modder extraordinaire. Familiar with, you might be quite familiar with several of his works, known such as Brutal Trailblazer, Brutal Guncaster, and the eventual Brutal Russian Overkill. Pillowblaster, ladies and gentlemen.
Rip Kinsey.
Yeah, Kinsey is unfortunately unable to make it because these wonderful gentlemen, they currently live in Poland, and right now it is about 6 a.m. in Kinsey time zone. When I asked if he would be available at this time, he basically told me fuck right off.
It's a shame he didn't make it, though. It would be a worldwide intermission, almost.
Yeah. Usually I'm the only American on these things, but that's why I brought Wartorn in order to be a Yankee rep along with me.
Yeah,
2-on-2,
hey,
fight!
you get me today.
Deathmatch.
I'm sorry.
Yes. I'm just eating burgers with my fellow Yank here, so yeah.
You make me hungry.
Oh.
Don't forget to wash your hands with bacon soap afterwards.
I'm actually recording with bacon on my hands right now, and my microphone is wrapped in bacon, so...
That works.
That explains a lot, actually. You sound mighty tasty.
Fat sounding.
Yep. Alright, so a lot has been happening in the community lately, and a lot of it has been mostly game-related. There has been a lot of retro-inspired shooters rising up and trying to challenge the throne of indie godhood, I suppose. Like, is there even a competition for that? But there has been a lot of new titles rising up on the Steam store. And the recent release of Mad Sector, an indie first-person shooter with Wolfenstein-style levels. It's 1992. The stores are flooded with games. A bright box catches your eyes. Walking to the shelf, the box reads, Mad Sector.
Mad Sector is like the kind of thing you feel when you're working in Doom Builder and it just disappears all of a sudden. Something fucking breaks.
I don't want to say that we are spoiled because of working in Doom, but they could step up their game from Wolfenstein, you know?
Yeah, I don't really... I mean, I do appreciate that there is another retro-inspired first-person shooter on the market. I don't like that this falls into the trap of so many others. I mean, it's got flat, uninspired Wolfenstein-style level design. It's just corridors, 90-degree walls, blocky angles, and just... there's no verticality. None at all.
But man, those weapon angles!
Oh, yes! And the weapon angles. All of the sprites, they are centered, but they are angled. And...
I don't want to say bad things about games, especially, independent projects, but this one kind of looks, like everyone was crazy with Doom when it was out, and then Doom started the era of Doom clones.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, it makes me think of all those obscure games, like, I don't know, The Fortress of Dr. Radiaki or something, all those knockoffs.
Oh, yes!
Sadly, but sorry, but that's my association.
It's like one of those pie-in-the-sky games that you read in the back of a magazine. You take photographs of your hand and put them in the game, and then...
So it's it's not a retro first-person shooter. It's a Doom clone.
I really can't get over those weapon sprites, though. To clarify for our viewers, the weapon sprites in Mad Sector, they are centered weapon sprites and take up the center of the screen, but the way they are positioned is angled, and so at the center of the screen you have a gun that's pointing to the left. And, yes. I mean, I've heard of gangsta style holding the gun to the side before, but this is ridiculous.
Coriolis effect has taken overdrive.
I mean, I guess your biggest concern is what you can't see, but at some point you gotta seriously stop menacing the air particles to the left and focus on the enemies in front of you.
Maybe the hero is a sniper and he takes all the corrections for the wind.
Yeah,
it's a pretty strong wind there.
Fucking sun or
and it's always blowing from your right.
Fucking wind.
That would be amazing. Alright, the next one. Another announcement of Skyfall, an indie old-school retro first-person inspired shooter with Wolfenstein levels and pixel graphics. It is slated for...
Wolfenstein strikes again.
Yes. It is not given a specific release date, but the release date is listed as soon. 2217. Distant future. We act as an engineer named Fox. It's a girl. At the beginning of the game, it comes the order to disable the protection system in the complex where she works. That they want to make a diagnosis.
Furries will be disappointed.
To clarify, that was all literal.
Yes.
I've got a feeling that the first language of the developers isn't exactly English, so...
Comparing to the previous, at least it has correctly positioned guns.
Yes, it does have angled weapon sprites, but they are actually positioned off to the side.
Also, the release date of soon is a lot better than when it's done. We all know how that turned out.
Mm-hmm. And I also like that they had to specify that the protagonist is, in fact, a woman.
It's a selling point!
The actual gameplay itself, I mean, it's bog standard Wolfenstein clone. Looks like you run through a consistent pace, you navigate through 90-degree corridors with very interesting Crusader-esque, Marathon-esque style textures, and fight Wolfenstein/Blake Stone-esque sprite enemies while using guns that seem straight out of Gloom or another first-person Amiga shooter. It's
kind of like that.
It
makes me think of mobile first-person games, or I don't know, maybe Game Boy Advance first-person shooters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still fascinated by this HUD. It really stands out.
Yeah.
I guess it's functional, so at least we have that.
Yeah, the gameplay, it looks solid. I mean, it is bog standard, but bog standard isn't bad. It works. It works as a formula. Of course, the trailer is exactly 1 minute long, so by watching this 1 minute long trailer, we have become experts on the game and everything that coincides.
Well, if you've seen the same game another 100 times...
Yeah. So let's add a little twist to it. Our next game is the announcement of Hermodr.
Hermodr?
Freudian sleep.
Hermodr.
Yeah.
Hermodr.
No, that'll be your mother.
The actual Norse, it's pronounced a Hermodr, but how many people are actually going to know that and just going to pronounce it like Hermodr? This, too, is another indie, old-school, first-person, retro-style-inspired shooter with Wolfenstein levels, pixel graphics, and roguelike mechanics.
I think I'll give it a pass for at least the consistency.
Nah.
So yeah, look, it's another one of those games that we might be the wrong crowd for.
The graphics actually look pretty neat. I mean, I really like the graphics here. They're stylized but not MS Paint, and the fact that there's actual texturing here. That is
I agree. There's some thought put into the overall look, as well as effort into creating the actual assets. So I think it looks pretty nice, but it still doesn't help the pretty flat levels, sadly.
Yeah,
Or that fog is covering pretty much everything.
There is some verticality to the levels, like there's a bridge growing across a gap, there's chest-high walls, but ultimately it is still incredibly flat.
I think I don't know. I haven't played it. It's still to be released, but for me it looks like the different heights are more cosmetic than influencing the gameplay.
One thing that comes from the trailer is that the weapons just feel very uninteresting. Like, there is a weapon that is a 4-barreled rocket launcher that launches 4 rockets at once that all spiral and hit a target, and then it hits the target and
and they just fall over.
Yeah. Hey, Pillow, you're the resident expert here. What should a weapon that fire 4 rockets at once be like?
Yeah, that's what she said.
I think the best phrase was coined by the developers of Rise of the Triad. Engine killing Gibbs.
If it doesn't make the engine choke, then it's just not worth it.
Not enough.
No.
The biggest issue is that there's just a layer of polish not really applied evenly here with that. They've got the good assets, but where are the good maps to go with that?
And you look at the about the game section, and it's just, what happens if we mix a classic arcade shooter with a classic hardcore roguelike? Reloading? Too hard. You're a warrior, not a nuclear physicist. Health regeneration? Keep it for the babies. Saves? Death takes everything. Yup, them too. So where do the roguelike mechanics come into play?
Well, the only roguelike mechanic there is probably the permadeath.
I'd say that the mechanics stem for, like, you know, with the weapons and level generation, but that's where it stops.
Yeah, there's not much about it.
Randomly generated levels.
Randomly generated numbers.
How about you load up? And
Sounds
like
kind of like Doom in that regard, except not at all.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing that people repeatedly miss about old school retro first-person shooters. It's the level design. The level design is what made them. It's not about explosive barrels, no reloads, moving fast. It's about the levels.
Well, it's all that, but then using it in a way that makes coherent sense.
Yeah, that's true.
and making it interesting, like height variation. Where's my verticality?
Well, moving on from that, speaking of verticality, the next one, this was actually released last month. I'm not sure how it slipped under my radar because this seems so up my alley that I could murder Batman's parents in it. Gorescript is a classic first-person shooter game inspired by the great old classic FPS games that define the genre. Fight your way through 18 handcrafted levels of frantic action-based gameplay from easy to hardcore levels of difficulty. And
I don't remember Minecraft being a great old classic FPS.
Well, I mean, consider how long ago it was released. It's been, what the fucking hell? Has it almost been 6-7 years?
oh yeah,
Okay, so
I guess that counts.
retro.
I don't know.
there are
I feel old when people tell me Call of Duty 4 is fucking... Fuck, I think it's coming on like 9-10 years or something.
Already?
Shit.
I feel old.
2007.
Probably more.
Oh.
I feel old.
You want to talk about old? Like, Steam recently had a award for the test of time, the game that is just as good today as the game as the day when you first played it. New games may come out, but it doesn't matter. You'll always come back to play these older retro titles. And the winner was Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim.
Okay.
Skyrim, the retro game that is like 6 years old.
And only recently got remastered.
Yeah. I think the oldest game on that list was Team Fortress 2, and it's already a decade old.
Gosh, when the hell did that time go?
I like Gorescript. I mean, yeah, the graphics do look like Minecraft, but it looks like it has everything I want in an actual retro-inspired game. The levels are vertical. The levels have verticality. I mean, you can actually jump around. You can rocket jump. You can go upstairs. You can go down ramps. You can jump up platforms.
It has strange, like, indentations in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's detail.
The weapons look really fun, too.
I mean, from like the base space point, it's got everything. It's just graphically, it's not what you would expect.
The graphics are non-existent.
What it shows here is that it's got a layer of options available to the player that all the other games we've talked about up until this point don't have, which is definitely a point in its favor.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it still doesn't quite hit that mark, and especially flops on its head when you talk about the visual style to it.
You wanna tell you what had me sold?
What?
It has crashes.
Yeah. You can't really argue with that.
But in general, design ideas-wise, this is way closer to the classic shooters we like, I think. But you know, I think the graphical style is the biggest. Doesn't hit the mark.
Mm-hmm.
But as with the other games, I think we might be the wrong crowd. Maybe we're not the target, because there are players that appreciate procedural generation and roguelike elements. we're just not the guys.
Or maybe they just don't know what's their target. They're like looking for things and experimenting with like all the older formulas, not really knowing what makes it well click.
I don't really know if it's a matter of not trying to find their target, because they are already pretty clearly stated out in their description. There's not much else to it that can imply anything else, honestly.
Maybe we're just ungrateful bastards and very picky.
For me, it's simple. If you want to make a game that claims to take inspiration from classic first-person shooters, and then it's absolutely nothing like the classic first-person shooters, then you're given a little bit of a mixed message here. The 80s nostalgia is turning into 90s nostalgia as time goes on. And there's been so many crappy indie platformers that don't replicate anything of what made the platformers great, and now we're getting a lot of crappy retro-inspired shooters that don't really replicate a lot of what it all makes the classic retro shooters great. And it's a little frustrating, because I'm not entirely sure if these people don't know or if they didn't understand.
Just wait till they like move on to the Half-Life clones. Those cutscenes will kill you.
I think it's more like not having that layer of knowledge to apply what makes them good in the first place. Mm-hmm. It's like you take any established level designer and they probably could make something just as good in any other medium. But when new developers tend to go on to, make their own game for the first time, and they try to do it by means of something they like, they don't always get it right, because I don't think that they have been able to spend the time to dedicate to the art of getting it right.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we really are old.
Well, we're not old until we hit 40. That's the official over-the-hill point.
Agreed.
And then moving on from there, we got another shitty upcoming indie first-person shooter. We got something by the name of Ion Maiden.
Never heard of.
Never heard of it. Actually, this is...
Do you mean the band?
This is especially interesting because Ion Maiden, formerly known as Bombshell, a dev studio comprised of E-Duke 32 vets and Duke Nukem 3D mappers. It was designed as a sort of tie-in to the Bombshell video game, which was itself a sort of spin-off of the Duke Nukem franchise, before needing to legally distance themselves from Duke Nukem, because there was kind of a little tussle as to who actually owned Duke Nukem. And to my knowledge, it was originally intended to be a sort of promotional tie-in, but now it's expanding and becoming a full game.
Pretty much.
That is pretty interesting. They have been releasing regular screenshots so far, and wow, these look amazing. I mean, the weapon designs look incredible. The texturing looks incredible. I really like the Tonfa weapon, and I even like the fact that the palette itself is adhered to 256 colors, and you can see the colors sort of drop off in the distance. That is cool.
How do I respond to that?
Take your compliments, damn you! Ion Maiden looks interesting, and I've noticed one thing that you guys have been showing off in the screenshot is an overwhelming emphasis on verticality. Like, recently you showed off a image of a city street, and there's rooftops, there's ladders, there's breaks in the street. It's really interesting. I've heard that Duke Nukem 3D maps in general have an overwhelming emphasis on verticality, and this is carried over into the mapping a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. Overall, Duke 3D is kind of like this interesting middle point, because it's after like the abstract mapping of Doom, and before more realistic and fully 3D games like Half-Life. Because Quake, for example, is still kind of abstract. There aren't really any specific places, unlike Duke. And we really like that, and we think it's a big part of the build games, and we're doing our best to continue it in this project.
That is one thing that regularly stood out. That is one thing that did regularly stand out about all of the build games. With Doom, it was all pure 100% what made the game feel good. I mean, Romero intentionally reached away early from the realistic map designs and focused entirely on fun. And then Half-Life, there was an overwhelming emphasis on trying to make the levels feel like real places. And in fact, there was an essay recently done writing about the importance of grates and crawling through them for that reason. And then Duke's got kind of this not quite realistic, but not quite abstract. All of the areas are based on real areas and are connected together in sort of action movie-esque ways.
I think it does a good compromise of like playability and the looks and atmosphere. So it's not like, oh, you have this super beautiful, realistic place, but it plays like shit, for example.
Really, really interesting combination, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have come out with Iron Maiden, or Ion Maiden.
Cool, I'm glad to hear.
Totally not intentional.
Totally not intentional, no.
Could you imagine when filing the trademarks you accidentally make a fucking typo?
Oh, that would be a nightmare for the lawyers.
Don't worry, we'll triple check everything.
Speaking of Half-Life, this is a little bit of a resurrection that nobody saw coming. Half-Life, the original game, has gotten an update.
To be honest, I don't make much of it.
It's strange that this game, after so long, would get an update like this after having been, I won't say ignored, but kind of glossed over by Valve all this time.
I feel like there might have been some factors tied to that, because I do actually remember seeing the the patch notes to that. And from what I can tell, it might have been possibly influenced by a security advisor for, like they pen test programs for exploits and stuff. And from what I could tell, Valve actually does take pretty good care of like their engine frameworks to, avoid things like opening vectors for creating malware and things like that, because their servers and communities and stuff, they're still huge after all this time.
Yeah.
So I imagine someone out there loves the game enough at Valve to, actually take care of those sort of issues as they crop up.
Yeah, that really makes sense. That's why I don't make much out of it, because there are a lot of people. Oh my God, Half-Life 3 is coming out. Yeah, it's like every month it's going to come out, and it doesn't. And don't get me wrong, I'm waiting for it.
It's like it became the Duke Nukem Forever of our century.
Actually, I'm pretty sure last official word that has been given is basically you're chasing after unicorns. I think it's safe to say the Half-Life franchise is dead at this point, unfortunately. There's probably not going to be Half-Life 3, not going to be Episode 3, and it's really quite a shame.
I want to believe.
Want to believe.
Maybe we'll get a Russian bootleg.
There was actually I think it was Game Informer that did a article searching for Half-Life 3, and it was one journalist's attempt to just sort of dig through everything Valve has done, ask the employees, ask the directors, okay, so what's actually going on with Half-Life 3? What is actually happening? And the only one that could actually speak to him was an anonymous source, so obviously this can't really be verified, but assuming it is true, it is a very interesting look into not only why Half-Life Episode 3 or Half-Life 3 has had such trouble coming out, but rather if it even should come out. Because at this rate, there is nothing that could live up to the hype, even the entirely internal hype that people have been building up over years.
Honestly, I'd be good with just having the finale of the story, but there was a bit of bad news with Mark Laidlaw leaving Valve.
Yeah.
And he was the writer. So, I don't know. I still want to believe.
At the very least, I want Gordon to, be able to shoot a gun at an alien. That'd be cool.
So John Freeman shoot his weapon real fast.
Yes, is John Freeman canon? The people
Very
must
fastly.
know. The people must know.
So
Zombie Ghost, leave this place. But this is our house, said the Zombie Ghost.
So sadly, but I think it's quite realistic that Half-Life 3 isn't even turning into DNF, but into a meme.
Yeah.
Eternal meme
Sad.
of unfinished dreams.
It's not turning into Duke Nukem Forever. It's not even turning into, more death. It's just turning into...
It should get a Mordant award if it comes out.
Alright, then moving on from there. Oh boy, that's a somber note to end on. Let's move on to something a little bit happier. What have we been working on recently in terms of making stuff? So, who wants to go first?
Boy.
Let's show and tell opportunity. Come on, come on. Who wants to go first? Who wants to brag?
Supplies. Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden.
You've been working really hard on a lot of projects lately, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm freelance, so I'm not on a regular schedule, and I just have a bit more time recently, so I'm trying to do. I've been doing a lot of supply stuff. Trying to get as many things out of the way while I can, because I don't know how my time might look in a few months. And currently I've been working the biggest hurdle, which is monster sprites.
Yeah, monster sprites are the biggest trouble with retro first-person shooter stuff, because it is insane the amount of workload that goes into those. Fighting games and 2D shooters are the most art-intensive genres out there, because let's even take a average monster. We got 4 walking frames, we got 2 firing frames, let's be incredibly generous and just say 2. We got a pain frame, and we got, again, let's be incredibly generous and say 3 death frames. That is incredibly generous. That is 10 frames in total. Now multiply that by 5 for each rotation.
Yes.
And that is 50 sprites for one single monster. And that is insane amount of work.
It is.
And then there are madmen who are thinking about like full rotation instead of mirrors.
Oh yes. And then there's the people that want to add more, like, what if we made the missile rotation use 3 frames instead of 2? What if we added a melee attack? What if we gave it an idle frame? What if we made
What if it had 16 rotation?
Mirrors fucking suck.
What if we had an X death as well as a death?
Oh no.
And then,
I've had situations like that. Oh hey, I finished the troopers and the imp. Oh no, I still have the gib frames to do. Wah!
yeah.
So as much as I would like, to do all these ambitious, amazing things, I'm doing my best to keep the scope of all this realistic. So for example, I think all the monsters are going to be mirrored. And that's already helping me out a ton. And as you've probably noticed from the stuff already posted, most of the monsters are just Doom paintovers. So it's just like the same monster, except it has a new look to match all the rest of the new art. So as much as I would like to make new monsters, I don't think it's really realistic for this project.
Yeah.
Although there will be new monsters, because we have new bosses planned and some smaller enemies as well. So,
In that case, consider the following: gib rotations.
no.
Yeah, that's right. Now that I think about it, you wouldn't have to do rotations for the death or X death frames. Well, let's rectify that. Let's make Doom modding history.
Actually, if you would, if you would do the gib frames in 3D, the whole thing in 3D, that would be plausible.
Oh yeah. That actually would make things a lot easier, like doing models and then breaking them down into, or not breaking them down, doing models and then shrinking them down and screenshotting every rotation. That's actually what has been done for Wrecker, another project that I helped out with, and it looks absolutely amazing.
And that's the same thing I did for all the new monsters I've made myself.
Mm-hmm.
As well as monsters in Iron Maiden, but those are made by another artist who is a great guy and does really cool things. So I can take credit for the weapon designs, but I can take credit for the environments.
You can take credit for a lot of things, really. I mean, your influence has been kind of felt everywhere throughout the retro FPS community.
Doom 64 extra sprite.
How about you, Pillow? I hear you've been up to stuff lately.
What I haven't been not working on. Well, I've been helping this guy with Supplice myself. Been prototyping a lot of things, but apparently, can I express my hatred for Zandronum?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, because we're supposed to have multiplayer as well, and
Let's just say that this possibility is really, really shrinking.
Yeah, Zandronum has been lagging behind more and more, and GZDoom has been leaping ahead more and more, and it's really just kind of sad.
Well, what we can do?
Not much.
Well, now let's just slap this netcode into the GZDoom and see if things explode.
I would be interested in seeing that.
Well, as of other things I've been working, well, I've been doing a lot of cool things under the sheet. Don't read it this way.
How suspicious.
Generally, oh man, how I can describe? You know how I did the tank in like Russian or...
Yeah. Though I don't think our viewers have, so you might want to explain that.
Alright, so usually when you see the companion mask, those things are like very not impressive. So I decided to do something actually impressive and spent like 2 days cracking my head over converting voxel from like a CNC to make it into like a regular tank. It's like made from like five separate actors, and it's pretty majestic. So I'm putting all that knowledge into making another companion, and I think people will really like it. Cage Chair agrees.
It's Cage's chair loaded with rocket launchers.
Not
rocket launcher. Now I can do it.
It wasn't, but now it already is.
Rocket launcher.
So today we have a special guest, my squeaky chair.
Hi,
I hope
the
it
chair.
won't kill me. Like,
That's fine. Like back in the day, we had a regular guest of Kinsey's chair as well. So.
And speaking of all the workload in supply, I'll say something from personal experience. Because I'm doing like all the extra repainting work in Russian Overkill, and I can tell you that, oh my god, it's a pain!
it's a bomb.
It really is. How about you, Wartorn? What have you been working on lately? I hear Joy of Mapping has been in full swing lately, and you've been helping out a lot with that?
Yeah, took the last week off for it. I've made a map for it, and I've been playtesting it a lot, so that kind of counts for what am I playing. So far, I am actually alarmed by how many good maps I've gotten through the set, and what a week's time can do for someone actually dedicated to improving their mapping. So I think that once that's finally released, that'll be definitely worth checking out. My map sucks, though.
Remember, the fun is mandatory.
That's true. I had fun making a
Happy
sucky map.
little sectors.
Mad
There was
sectors.
There was nothing happy about the sectors in the map I was working on.
Are they
I
mad
would be
sectors?
screaming out like every... Yeah, they're mad sectors. I would be screaming out every hour because there were times where just sectors and shit would just fucking break for no reason. Scripts break, things like that. It is the fucking worst thing when you're playtesting. Is like, wait, why doesn't this work anymore? And then there were several times where I thought I fixed bugs, but ended up reintroducing others.
As Jimmy said himself, that's when it becomes the misery of mapping.
Exactly.
What can we
And-
generally look forward to with Joy of Mapping this time around?
A lot of beaches, a lot of green, some tails, the whole thing. I have no fucking clue. Honestly, in terms of fun maps, I would say that the bulk of them have definitely been, and I might be slightly biased on this, in episode 3 and episode 4, respectively. All the episodes have really good maps, so I think all of them are worth playing through at least once, and we're still going through an internal testing period where all the maps get, once overs to make them look good, look presentable, and all the tutors have been absolutely great at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of joy of mapping, I was talking to Jimmy before it started, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll make a map, or maybe I'll do a texture pack for the project or something. And then like 2 Supplice monsters later, I was like, I think I was supposed to do something with Jimmy. I don't know. So
I wish you. I wish you
was
had.
hoping I'll finally make a map or something, something different, but nope.
Yeah.
The joys of being jack of all trades.
I've been really trying to get into joy of mapping for like the past 3 sessions, and they've constantly been a little bit of a trouble getting into because they've always been held on nights where I've been streaming, and I've been kind of fussing at Jimmy a little bit for that. So this time, Jimmy made a point. Okay, Term, you can join in this time. It takes an entire week. There's nothing going to be conflicting. You can join in. Yes! Wait, I gotta finish up High Noon Drifter.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Mapping is mandatory. Cowboys are not.
Well, I did that last.
Last one couldn't collide by themselves.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Wartorn. You're the one that suggested the hat system. I had to put it in and make it perfect.
But then you went on to do a lot of other things.
Can
That's
you
not
buy
my
extra
fault.
hats?
Don't you know the important, Trish? Hats are the most important.
Hats are the absolute.
That's true, though. Hats are important. That should have been the first thing you implemented.
But here's a nice little seamless segue for you. But that's actually been, coincidentally enough, that's what I've been working on quite a bit for the past quite some time. Actually, it's just been barely under or almost exactly at 2 months. High Noon Drifter is ready for release. Pretty much entirely ready for release. I've finished everything on my end, and the only thing that's holding it back is a couple finished graphics. And that final 10%, the last couple things you need to do, it's always the hardest part of development. You're so close to finishing, and everything that's left is so minor issues, but you gotta do it anyway, and it's so painful to do. There's always these last minute things that keep popping up again and again, and it's so painful. You gotta get it done anyway. But oh, once it's all done and ready to ship and ready to go, it's all yeah.
I forgot how it feels to be close to finishing.
Don't worry.
I imagined all this talk about your BFG.
Okay.
Yeah, the big fiery girl. She has been interesting. She has been an interesting ride from beginning to end. Please do not take that out of context.
When
You're
Term's
going
ready
to
to
do a
ship,
lot of
everyone
fan
else
content.
is ready to ship.
Once you're gonna rewind and listen to what you said, you're gonna think of it as a one huge innuendo.
Well, that erotic sigh I did on expressing how happy I was to finish certainly is not helping. The finish is the best part. You can relax, you can just lean back, kick back, and just savor it all in, and wow, this really is not helping.
And then you can start working on the next one.
Yeah.
Or you just beat yourself over for bum rushing the release and getting a shitstorm of bugs. I'm not feeling proud of it, but at least I did a release.
You've been there, right?
Always.
Oh yeah. It's the thing I'm gonna be focused on next though, mapping. Mapping. Need to do mapping. I suppose I wonder if I should say this. I've got a little hidden map project that I've been working on for a little bit, and it's been kind of a little bit of a hang because I haven't been mapping for it in order to focus on High Noon Drifter, but I'm hitting this hard. I want to get a map pack out. I want to get a map pack finished. I want to get a map pack good and playable. So that's going to be what I'm focusing on next, and it's going to be interesting. Mapping is going to be learnt with.
Well, I have an advice for you.
Yeah?
Don't invoke the Kinsey curse. Don't name it out in public.
Well, why'd you invoke it? Because it's like everybody listening to us right now.
Yeah.
Shit! I can blame you now.
Da 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 da.
I can blame you now. Damn your Poland immunity, or should I say Pooland? I'm sorry, that was bad.
Yeah.
Alright. Moving on from there, what have we been playing recently? Oh, come on. Surely someone's been playing something. Hey, Wartorn, come on. Talk to me. What have you been playing?
Well, ironically, all I've been playing was playtesting for Joy of Mapping, as I mentioned prior. I mean, outside of that, I have been on and off enjoying Persona 3 still.
What's that like?
It's a game about Japanese high school and something about clocks. I'm still trying to piece it all together.
I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. Moving on, how about you, Cage?
What?
Actually, we have something recent because, Pillow is visiting me, and now I'm trying to show him some actually good games. So
I'm feeling solid.
Yeah.
So we were playing Chrono Trigger.
That is a good game.
Actually, yeah, a
And,
little bit of a behind-the-scenes intermission know-how for all of y'all. Pillow and Cage are actually in the same room, sharing the same microphone.
They are the same person.
The future is now.
Yes.
Because my microphone is shit.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger, that is one of the SNES games to end all SNES games.
So yeah, that's a real classic and one of my favorites as well. I don't know, I just like everything about it. I think for me it really gives me a real feel of going on adventure and doing something good on that adventure. And besides that, I did replay Halo 1 and Halo 2 some time ago. Actually, it was first time for me playing Halo 2, and I guess it might be an unpopular opinion on this podcast, but I really liked it.
Well, guess we know who's not getting invited again.
Both of us, and then you have no guests.
Shit, he knew! What do I do now?
And before that, I dumped a bunch of hours into Mankind Divided, because I'm also a huge fan of Deus Ex and everything cyberpunk. And that was like in February, so not playing much.
Well, you say you're not playing much, and that you just listed like 4 games.
Yeah, but that's like the last 6 months or something. So it's mostly being busy working on stuff, but that has the downside of kinda creating in a vacuum, with having influence limited and inspiration. So that's not a perfect solution to just lock yourself and work on projects.
It really isn't. You gotta let yourself cool down at times.
I don't have time to cool down.
I have to make cool thing.
You can make cool thing and then tape it to yourself to cool down.
I was just gonna suggest tape an air conditioner to your face. That works better.
What's cooler than being cool? Ice cold.
Ice.
Tape ice
Watching
cubes to
air
your face.
conditioning. We are a second world country.
What about, who's next? Pillow? You want to go next?
Well, I've been doing a lot of Majesty lately because I love Dark Souls, the RTS. It's pretty interesting one because you don't have like a classic RTS where you have control over your units, you can do whatever. your heroes are bloody idiots and they they die all the fucking time.
Wow.
The basic deal is you set out bounties on the monsters to hunt them down, but often the monsters kick their asses.
Babysitting the game.
Pretty much. You need to like hold your heroes out of trouble
Babies.
like little babies,
Amazing.
catching fire and everything.
So, is this Dark Souls or is this Lemmings?
Probably both.
Dark Lemmings.
Dark Lemmings.
Lem Souls.
Dark Lemmings.
Pillowblaster will be the best father, keeping his kids from dying.
I wouldn't be so sure about it.
Oh, wow.
They might give me too many ideas.
Well, I mean, at the very least, we can expect you to teach them proper gun safety.
I don't have any guns. That's probably out of the window.
Mm-hmm.
You say that.
Otherwise, Borderlands,
Oh
the
my.
pre-sequel. Don't worry, I got the game on sale. I didn't give Pittsburgh the full price. I mean, the story is stupid, but it has some magical moments.
First it was Halo 2 and now it's Borderlands the pre-sequel. What kind of people am I bringing onto my podcast?
We are like heretics.
Maybe it's not us being the heretics.
Uh,
Burn the infidels.
Podcast mutiny.
Light the torches!
No, I'm being kicked out of my own podcast! Ah! Ah!
Hey,
Run to
everybody,
the windmill!
Hosted
Now
Intermission.
you will know how to be a hamburger.
Bring in the dancing lobsters.
How has that been coming along, though?
What?
Borderlands pre-sequel. You talked about that on the night. Yeah.
It already flushed out of my memory.
Borderlands, what? What are you saying?
My mission has been completed.
I mean, the game, I just like shooting, and if there's more of it, then I'm gonna play.
Yeah, can't really argue with that. Can't really argue with that.
I also liked Rage.
I didn't play it even yet. I was planning on, but I, suffered from the same syndrome as Cage has.
I honestly have not played Rage, but nearest I can tell, it was basically just a matter of a misaimed opportunity.
Well, I liked it besides the shitty ending. Oh, hey, here's an ending. Hope you like the game.
Isn't that...
Its biggest downfall is that it just wasn't finished. That's about it. But like,
MGS5 also did that. Oh, here's an ending. But yeah, development troubles.
well, yeah, that was much more apparent though. I was talking about that with some friends the other day, and I was like, I already saw all the shortcomings of that MGS5 could have just from playing Peace Walker, which have all the makings of overambition.
Mm-hmm. Let's be honest, though. I mean, terrible endings in video games, it's kind of becoming the norm, isn't it?
Even the best game of all time, Deus Ex, fails with that. In all installments!
I can't believe there isn't an ending where we can team up with the janitor in order to put lemon lime in every single vending machine.
I wanted orange. It gave me lemon lime. It's the maintenance man.
That would have been the ultimate ending.
How cool would it be if Deus Ex Human Revolution had an ending where you have to press a button? Crazy.
Wow.
Wait, so Mass Effect?
Revolutionary. Well, no, they were flavored buttons. You punched them with your tongue.
You had to pick if you want like strawberry or vanilla.
Those Mass Effect 3X when?
Please no.
What I've been playing a little bit straightforward recently. There's been a project that came out sort of last month called Kriegland Blutordnung.
Oh yeah, I've seen the topic.
I apologize terribly for horribly mangling the pronunciation, but it is a Wolfenstein-style project, specifically inspired by Wolfenstein: The New Order, and it uses sprites by Chrono Trigger and a whole bunch of Wolfenstein 3D fan sprites in order to just create a full weapon replacer and enemy replacer that's all about shooting Nazis with the sci-fi-esque, World War II-esque hybrid weaponry. And it was kind of clunky when it first came out. It was, yeah, really kind of clunky when it first came out because enemy HP values way too high, weapon damage values pretty low, ammo drops very low. But the dude listened to criticism, he listened to feedback, he just sat, nodded, rolled up his sleeves, cracked his knuckles, and said, "Right, this time, let's kick ass." And then he released a V2 update, and wow! It's so much better! It is so fun to go through. The weapons, they can be dual-wielded, and they all have synth fire, so you can go around dual-wielding Lugers. The enemies fall really quickly, so you can just whip around corners, just banging at everything in sight. Wow, that's you can whip around
there
corners.
Goes Frodian sleep again.
Just like Doom or H2.
Yeah. You can whip around corners, shooting everything in sight, dual-wielding Lugers, dual-wielding shotguns, dual-wielding SMGs, and it's so much fun. There's giant robots that just blow up into shrapnel whenever you shoot them enough. There's like explosive enemies, there's flying Nazis, there's doctor Nazis, there's robot Nazis, there's dog Nazis, there's furry Nazis, there's Nazis. Yeah.
I get the feeling Terminus really likes Nazis.
I like shooting Nazis.
Take them all.
Bang all the Nazis. I mean, shoot.
Yes.
Whatever.
And it is just so much fun to go through. There's still a couple things about the mod that are very unpolished at the moment. Like, you run out of ammo, you hit the button, you don't get, like, a click or anything, doesn't swap to another message. It just does an A print that says, out of ammo. And, and likewise, the knife is... it's not a good melee weapon. I mean,
melee is usually very hard to, like, nail right.
And it doesn't help because the default melee option in a lot of games, and even first-person shooter mods, it's kind of waylaid to the side as the garbage weapon, like you really don't want to be using this, so they make it garbage in order to emphasize that. But if you intentionally set out to make a garbage weapon and you succeed, it's still a pretty garbage weapon.
Well, let's be honest, even in regular Doom, the fist isn't exactly a puncher.
No.
But yeah, the Burster pack.
Yeah, once you get the Berserk, that's great. But yeah, the update has really changed the entire thing, and it is great. It's so much fun. Highly suggest it. Highly suggest it. Works great with Epic and Epic 2, obviously. I've been playing it with Zone 300.wad, a fantastic map set by P-Corp. P-Corp set out to make a map with, map set that every level contains no more than 300 line defs, so provides a lot of short, quick, straightforward maps. Very quick to go through, so action is always happening. Monster counts rarely get to the high levels, but that's good because it means every single threat is manageable, which is great because you can go around, dive around corners, and start banging Nazis.
There it comes again.
Highly suggest Kriegsland. Highly suggest Zone 300. Very fun. Worth a shot.
Hey Term,
Yo.
You reminded me of what I also played.
Yeah?
Can it work with Blade of Agony? Because, well...
I played Chapter 1. I hated every single bit of it. played the first level of Chapter 2 when it was still in development and hated it. Have not tried out since the release. Have no desire to.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel now. I decided to give it an honest try. But, oh my god, fuck that rules. Fuck this mechanic with landmine. Never fun.
Shivers has been playing it, and he has really very much been enjoying it. I will admit I'm not 100% as to why, but who knows, maybe it's just... Maybe I'm the weird one. Maybe we're the weird ones.
I'm kind of polarized on that mod, honestly, because it looks good in a lot of departments. There's always going to be some oddballs when you try for something ambitious at it, as it does.
Oh yeah.
Remember, Shivers' buddies mostly composed of MP5s, MP40.
He does love his MP5s and MP40s. Those are good weapons, very good weapons.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to try Blade of Agony actually myself because it looks pretty cool, and I really hate to dismiss a project that clearly had a lot of work put in, but like I'm talking to other Doom people and like, oh, I think of playing Blade of Agony, and they're like, hit scanners, landmines, and then I don't know.
Well,
if
I will say
actually
they
it's
are
tracers,
yeah.
but you don't have enough speed to evade them. I mean, you have a sprint which lasts for 2 seconds, and then you go.
There's one thing that can definitely be said though. It is gorgeous. Like, Torm is a graphic designer first and foremost, and it shows. It is beautiful. It is gorgeous. A lot of work has been put into pushing the engine to the absolute limit and making it pretty.
Yeah, that I can agree on. Now if the other fields could be worked on.
Yeah. Maybe I'll...
You know, no spoiler, but I'm gonna say this. The ending made me more angry for seeing it coming than actually being a great, reveal.
It was all just a dream.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, I am... I hate to say it, but I will have to give it another honest shot later on, if only so I can say, yes, I've checked it out, and yes, these are my opinions. But I don't want to. And I feel bad about that. Because I know a lot of people are going to be asking me about that, and I want to give them an honest opinion, but it's just...
It's a work.
It's a work.
Well, what can I say? Make the Hainan Drifter work with it, so halfway through when you wanna, drop it, use it to give yourself a chance. That's what I did. Sorry, that's what I did.
Yes. Blade of Guncaster.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Trail of Agony.
Alright, and with that, I think this is going to be a fantastic time to call this here. Thank you all very much for coming along. Thank you for being with us. It was a pleasure having you.
And thank you for having us.
Kabir!
And we will see you all next time on the next intermission. Well, they probably won't, but...
Bye, boy.
Left out.
I'm sorry.
Boo.
It had to be this way. I'm sorry.
Well, time zone's my ass.
Good night, everybody.